everyone, this is Butler here, and today I'm here with Nolan from his channel Nolan Talks Movies, which is where he talks movies. Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me, Ethan. Like you said, my name's Nolan. I'm from the channel Nolan Talks Movies. There, I review movies. I do movie discussions, rankings. I do video essays, and recently I've been dabbling in some tier lists, which is really, really fun. So, if that sounds interesting to you, I'm sure Ethan will link my channel somewhere. iCard description. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure I'll be able to find it. So, I'm really excited for today because it's quite an interesting topic.
Today we're going to be talking about our favorite animated movies of all time. This is going to be a top 10 list, and we're just going to start off with a few honorable mentions. So Nolan, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I have some honorable mentions. For me, one of my honorable mentions is Incredibles 2. I had a lot of fun with this film, and I definitely don't think it is deserves to be in my top 10 favorite films of all time, but it is so enjoyable for me. There's a lot of great characters. I think there's definitely some weak elements, but overall, it's just a beautiful film that I felt like I had to give a mention. Then also, another one I have, this is quite an interesting pick actually, but actually, Monsters University. This is another one I do really like, and I felt like I needed to mention because not a lot of people enjoy it. But I have a lot of fun with this film. It definitely felt like a college cliche for the first half of the film, but it really became its own unique thing by the second half. So those are my honorable mentions. How about you?
One, Toy Story 4 from last year. Really great. Iron Giant, Brad Bird's masterpiece. I have not seen it in a long time, so I don't really want to know if I want to put it on a top 10 list just because I haven't seen it for many, many years, but I want to mention it anyway. The Little Mermaid, which also I've not seen in many, many years, so I don't really want to put it on a top 10 list. Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc. I don't think this really counts, but I'm going to count it anyway as an honorable mention. Paddington 2 from 2018. Yeah. So, Nolan, do you want to start off with your number 10?
Sure. My number 10 is actually a film I saw for the first time quite recently, actually last night, and it's crazy that it went right into my top 10 list, but it really connected with me. It's The Prince of Egypt. So that is it's a DreamWorks film, I believe from 1998, and it tells the story of Moses. I am a Christian, so it did connect with me in a way that maybe it wouldn't for some other moviegoers, but I still feel, no matter what religion you are, atheist, Christian, whatever, I still feel it's up for interpretation, and you can still enjoy it as an incredible film. It has some great visuals, it has some incredible music, and I'm not usually a huge fan of DreamWorks, but they really hit the nail on this one because I really enjoyed it. So, Prince of Egypt, my number 10.
My number 10 is going to be Toy Story, the original from 1995. This was like Pixar's first use of CG animation, and I think they did a fantastic job with it. And it has a very simple tale that the sequels later built off of, but this one is just very simple. I also like the villain in it. I think he's hilarious, and I just like the overall tone and the childlike innocence to it and how it explores childhood.
My number 9 is another Pixar film, like you said. It's Monsters Inc. So this has such a unique and interesting premise, which we definitely need in Hollywood today. It has some incredible characters, some hilarious characters, and there were some really laugh out loud moments for me. I definitely think it dives into some deeper themes that if you kind of peel back the layers, I think definitely parents could enjoy it because they see those themes, and kids can enjoy it for the fun of just seeing monsters. And I honestly just love it because of its originality. So that's why it's my number 9.
Number 9 is going to be Coco from 2017. Now, some people may just say, oh, it's fine. But for me, I mean, it connected with me because recently Pixar hasn't been doing that great in my opinion. And they're not bad or anything, but I mean, we've had more like, I don't know, Brave and The Good Dinosaur. These are just movies I didn't connect with that much. But Coco just came out of nowhere and really hit me emotionally. First off, I think this is the best animation that Pixar's ever done. I mean, the atmosphere of it is huge. The music is beautiful. The voice acting is great. And I mean, I guess some people thought the twist was kind of predictable, but honestly, I liked it. I mean, I thought it worked and made sense. And especially on a rewatch, it all came together really well. And that final scene when he's singing to his grandma always gets me. I just really like it. It's a nice little family movie, and it's funny when it needs to be, it's heartfelt when it needs to be, and it just completely worked for me.
That's a great pick. For me, number 8 is a film a lot of people enjoy, but definitely is not in their top 10. It's Lilo and Stitch. This is a really, really great film for sure, but I know that a lot of people wouldn't consider this in their top 10 favorite animated films of all time. I have such nostalgia for this, and this is such an integral part of my childhood that I just had to include it. I have such fun with Lilo and Stitch. My goodness, I think the characters are really, really great. There's some humor in it. The sense of humor in it, that dry sense of humor, is really the kind of humor that resonates with me, and it had a lot of great themes. I definitely think there's some weaker parts to it, and it wouldn't be the top 10 best animated films of all time, but it lands at number 8 in my top 10 favorite animated films of all time.
My number 8 is going to be the Lego Movie from 2014. Now, some people may say it's not really animated, other people do. I don't know. It's a strange argument. It's great. I like it because what it does so differently is it could have taken a concept that could have just been selling toys and being very childish the whole time, but they took complete creative control and they made something really, really entertaining that adults and kids can enjoy. And when I say adults will enjoy, it's not just like they put in a few adult jokes in there that kids won't understand. It's all the humor feels like stuff that adults can laugh at as well. And the more I grow up, the more I appreciate the humor in it and just how funny it is. And the voice acting from everyone is top notch. And they just do so many creative things with the actual like Lego characters and the Lego sets. Like the water moving it just works really well. And sometimes they have a great concept, but they don't do anything with it, and it just squeeze it through some formulaic, boring trope. But with this, they did whatever they wanted to, and you can tell that they had a lot of fun doing it.
My number 7 is Inside Out. There's really two groups of people for Inside Out. There's people who like it, but they're like, it's good. And then there's people who absolutely love it. I'm in group 2. I absolutely love Inside Out. I think it's really, really great, and it really was a return to form for Pixar after, so many sequels. And then we just got this film. It has an incredible voice cast. So many people that I love. Actually, a lot of Office characters in the voice cast, surprisingly. And then it just, like I said earlier, a very, very unique plot, and it's just, oh my gosh, I think it translated the screen so well. And I was used to seeing surprise villain after surprise villain for Disney films in general, sometimes in Pixar, and then I really just saw this film, and to see the villain was just real life. I felt like it was so realistic, and it definitely tackled some themes most kids movies would not even touch. So it really, really means a lot to me. That's why it's my number 7.
My number 7 is going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Similar to what the Lego Movie did, I know the people that directed the Lego Movie, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, helped produce Into the Spider-Verse, so that definitely helps. But they took complete creative control and they made something really, really different. Some of the most unique animation I've seen in a movie for many, many, many years. It looks like a comic book come to life. The entire feel and atmosphere of it is just so big and so different, and they can do whatever they want. They're breaking so many rules here, and it really put a smile on my face that they wanted to do something unique. And all the characters are built really, really well. Miles Morales is very relatable and develops really well, and just kind of the side characters too, while they're not like the highlight of the film, they're still really, really likable. I love Into the Spider-Verse. The A Leap of Faith scene, I think, will go down in history as one of the best scenes in an animated movie ever.
My number 6 is The Lion King. This will be higher up on a lot of people's list, but I still really enjoy it. I just think there's some better films. I actually saw this in theaters for one of its anniversaries, I'm not quite sure, and that's where I was introduced to it, which is a giant plus. It has such great characters, a really, really amazing plot, and honestly, just incredible music. I guess the reason that's not higher for me is I feel like some of the pacing's a little bit off, but if that wasn't a problem, it would be much, much higher for me. And I'm nitpicking at this point because this film and Up, they're just incredible films, and I feel like The Lion King really truly put Disney on the map as something really special, because they were already producing incredible films, but this put them on a whole new level.
Number 6 is Mulan. I guess what I just really like about it is it looks great. Like, that's not the only reason, but this looks really amazing. That one shot of the whole army coming down the mountain is just, it's really something truly to look at. I mean, I am so glad something like this exists, because this was definitely in like the, what they call like the Disney Renaissance, mostly like in the 90s when they're like bumping stuff out like every year. And this is, I think, one of the best of that era of Disney animated movies. I guess Mulan is just a really interesting character, and she's developed really well, and I like the cultural aspect as well. I think they implemented that in very well, and it's just a very fun time, you know.
My number 5 is Aladdin. So I really love Aladdin. I think it is absolutely incredible. Robin Williams was my favorite actor of all time, and this is what introduced me to him. I think that the characters are some of the best characters Disney has ever created. I believe that the story it's really good, and it tackles the theme of lying, which I definitely think is integral. I mean, I think that a lot of kids in their younger age, they learn to lie, so I think it was a great film to kind of introduce that and help understand why that's not a good thing to do. And I think that this is a film that adults can enjoy as much, if not more, than the kids, because there are so many pop culture references from the genie and that kind of thing. I definitely think it has its issues, but it holds up so well today. And I like the remake, actually, which is, I know I'm getting off topic, but completely controversial opinion. So I think that Aladdin is just such an incredible film.
My number 5 is going to be The Incredibles, Brad Bird's masterpiece, everyone calls it. This is one that, even though it's not, my number 1 favorite of all time, I still absolutely love it, and I think it's really how mature it is for being a movie that's made for kids. The idea of like superheroes being banned and how that creates havoc on the world. It's just a really interesting take on the superhero genre before it really got big.
My number 4 is an extremely controversial pick. That is Toy Story 4. Okay, so I don't really want to say why I love this film a lot, because I have a video coming up, and people always really ask me why I like Toy Story 4 a lot. But the themes of Toy Story 4, the themes of kind of getting older, trying to understand your purpose, are just really incredible. People always ask, why was Toy Story 4 necessary? I think Andy's story was really wrapped up, but Woody's really wasn't. And honestly, this film resonates with me probably the most out of any film on this list. I don't think it's my favorite, but I definitely think it is the most personal to me. So that's really all I can say right now.
My number 4 is one that's already been on your list. It's Inside Out. Not a lot of people would agree with me on this, but this is my favorite Pixar movie of all time. I don't know. It connected with me. I know it on the outside it looks more like a kid's movie than probably The Incredibles or Up or something like that, but I think the themes that they're tackling feel a lot more than those movies at times. Because on the outside it looks very fluffy and lighthearted and fun, but underneath, it's still fun, but underneath there's a lot of really deep stuff going on, and just exploring our childhood and why our emotions may be a certain way, and how there's an internal conflict and an external conflict with Riley and with Joy and Sadness having that argument, and basically showing, you can't be happy without being sad first. That's just not possible. You need to have the balance. They tackled that well, and it's been stuck in my mind ever since I saw it in theaters, and I've been rewatching it many times. So yes, it's there at my number 4.
My number 3 is my favorite Pixar film of all time, which is Up. So Up, a lot of people love the first 10 minutes, but they think that the quality of the film goes downhill from there, and I disagree. I think it really maintains its level of curiosity, excitement, and quite frankly, weirdness and uniqueness. I love the character so much. I have such a deep relationship with my grandparents. So Carl as a character, and I've lost a grandparent, so Carl as a character connected with me in such a way, almost more than Toy Story 4 did. This probably, if Toy Story 4 wasn't filmed, this probably would be the most important animated film of all time for me. I think the quality is incredible. A lot of people don't like the villain, Charles Muntz. I don't really want to give spoilers, but I really, really like him because he's the embodiment of what Carl would have become if he didn't let Ellie's death go. I love villains that are really a version of our hero, but if they made a mistake in their life. And honestly, this film just resonates with me in such an incredible way that I had to have it in my top 3.
I do like it. I don't remember that much about it, and I remember the opening scene because that one will stick with me forever. But it's really good. My number 3 is going to be one that was also already on your list. It's The Prince of Egypt. And I just rewatched this like 2 days ago, and it is fantastic. I mean, this is easily a 5-star movie for me. And my only problem with it is the fact that I feel like it could have been much, much longer than it was. But I understand because, I heard that animating this thing was very, very difficult, and adding on another 30-40 minutes wouldn't really be necessary. But they got the story across, but I wish I got to see a lot more with characters interacting and stuff like that. But this is a fantastic movie. This is so good. First off, the animation's probably the best animation I've seen in a movie. I know these other two will resonate with me more emotionally, but this is like probably the best animation I've seen in a movie. I love the voice acting. People don't really notice, but we got Val Kilmer, Ralph Fiennes, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Goldblum, Danny Glover, Helen Mirren, and Patrick Stewart, and also Steve Martin and Martin Short are in it too. So it's got a really great cast, and people keep forgetting that they're even in it, but they're really good. Everyone does their best. What I like about it is you don't need to be a Christian to enjoy this. Even if you look at it as a fantasy film, it would work the same way, honestly. I think it touches on destiny and our mortality like in a really deep way, especially for a kid's movie. And it does get really dark, surprisingly, in a lot of places. So I really appreciated that. It's a movie that, I've grown up on. It's something I've just seen as a kid a lot, and I've always loved. But I never really noticed how good this movie actually is.
I definitely think The Prince of Egypt will rise in the ranks for me if I give it a rewatch, because again, I literally watched it 12 hours ago, and it's in my top 10 favorite animated films of all time. So anyway, my number 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Actually, I really like comic book films, but I'm not as big of a fan of the genre as a lot of other people. But this film, man, is this film good. The characters are just incredible. Miles is great, and we get so many different themes. I can't believe they balanced the amount of spider people in this film. We have Miles, who is learning how to be Spider-Man, and then we have Peter Parker, who is relearning the themes of responsibility, which he has forgotten. And it's just, there's so many incredible things. I think Kingpin is a very intriguing villain. I would have loved to see more of him on screen. I'd have to say this is probably the most beautiful animated film I've seen. From the visuals, it's so unique, it's so incredible. I can't wait for the sequel, and I'm just so surprised this film is as good as it was, because it probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I feel the same way. My runner-up's going to be The Lion King. And everything about it just shouts iconic. The thing is there's not much to talk about when it comes to The Lion King, because everyone's seen it, and everyone knows it's a great movie. The voice acting, the animation, the music, the opening scene is beautiful. Just the whole thing just shouts iconic to me. Everything about this is absolutely beautiful. So what is your number 1, Nolan?
My number 1 is, again, a film I just saw for the first time, I believe, this week. So it's really crazy that this is my favorite animated film of all time. But my number 1 is Your Name. So this is an anime film. I've never seen an anime film before, but oh my goodness, what have I been missing? This is such an incredible and intriguing film. It starts off as like Freaky Friday, basically, but with different genders. So these two different people who don't even know each other are switching bodies like every 3 days. And I was like, okay, this is fine. And I'm gonna be honest, the first half of the film, I was kind of confused, and I was like, okay, this is fine. The second half of the film ramps it up to level 11, and you understand some lines said at the beginning, and a lot of things come full circle, and suddenly this film that seemed average at the beginning is so incredible. I still can't believe this is my favorite anime film of all time. I've known it for 1 week, and that fact alone displays how incredible I think this film is. So Your Name, it's my number one.
My number one is, in my opinion, kind of, I don't know, I think it's a perfect film, and it's also, I have so much nostalgia for it, and that is, it's not a very popular opinion, but it's Beauty and the Beast. Now this is not a movie that a lot of people would consider their number one, but for me, as a kid, I would watch it all the time. I mean, sisters would put it on, my mom would put it on, and it wasn't like, oh, it's a princess movie. It's just more of the themes it was tackling. I like the characters, all the supporting characters, Mrs. Potts, all those characters are they're still kind of relatable, even Gaston as a villain, I've always liked him. I found him really likable and unlikable at the same time. And I love, the Beast is fleshed out really well. And that's what I didn't really like that much about the remake. It was fine that they put in his backstory and stuff, but I didn't find it necessary. This version, they don't even really explain it, but they feel the same connection to him. And I just really like the themes they're tackling here, and I love the animation. It's beautiful. And the voice acting and the music is iconic, obviously. But for me, this has always just been one that's connected with me since I was a kid, and it still connects with me now. It's one of those movies I can just, if I'm sick and I have to stay home from school, or I'm just having a bad day, I can just curl up and watch this movie, and it'll make me feel better because it makes me feel like a kid again. And I just have that great nostalgia for it. So it's there at my number one. So thanks, Nolan, for doing this video.
Yeah, man, I had a ton of fun. Thanks for having me. Definitely. This was really, really awesome. I love animated films, so it was such a fun video to make.
Channel description in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Ethan Butler, and I'm out.